First of all, you're not forgiven for the Ivy League shot. I mean, what are we supposed to aspire to be? Like mediocrity, as you say, average? Look, you're wrong because of two things I used to hear in the locker room all the time. When criticism came, when you had experiences that were unfortunate, when losing streaks were occurring, coach would say, why and why now? I asked Jason Whitlock, why do you want to fire Jason Garrett? But more importantly, why now when you're looking at this schedule? This is a team that is 2-3, but let's look at those games. And when they have a good win in terms of beating the Detroit Lions, who have beaten the New England Patriots, and they got two, as we like to say, good losses. When you go against the Panthers and you go against the Seahawks, you're like, okay, I can see that. The Seahawks took the Rams, basically had that game outside of a field goal. So I say why now? When you look at Jason Garrett, in terms of what he's done, he's not a mediocre coach. He's above average. There's support that says, since he's been a head coach, how many losing seasons has he had? And it's interesting if you look at it, he's one of the few coaches that's only had one, and only the Patriots and the Steelers have none. Belichick and Tomlinson, and then you go to who? Jason Garrett. You're calling that mediocrity when I'm looking at that as a full screen that says only one time did I put out a subpar effort. Every other year, winning performances.
Here's what you're looking at. You're looking at the Patriots, the Steelers, and the Cowboys. And I would argue those three organizations have been the most consistently committed to winning at all costs.
Okay, respect.
And so it's the organizations. And in my view, Jason Garrett doesn't stack up to Bill Belichick, doesn't stack up even to Mike Tomlin.
No.
And so those organizations, I think Jerry Jones gets a bad rap as incompetent, meddlesome, blah, blah, blah. What Jerry Jones is committed. Mm-hmm. And he's going to provide you with every resource possible to be successful. I just think with Jason Garrett, you just reach a point when you look at him strategically and what edge does he provide as a head coach, and there is none. Again, he was hired because they thought, oh, we messed up, we let Sean Payton get out of here, we found the next best thing to Sean Payton, this Ivy League guy, he grew up in our organization and blah, 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 and the results just don't back it up. This guy provides them no edge. Any success they've had, to me, it's been an organizational success. Jason Garrett, to me, last night wrote his eulogy. He basically gave me all the information I need to know, say, this isn't good enough. He's not good enough in the critical moments to be the head coach of this team. I can get these results with others and hopefully with someone that will make better. Jerry Jones on record, that 4th-and-1 decision in overtime was just stupid. It's inexcusable.
But you're looking at it in a vacuum, and I know you watched the entire game, so do you remember Chris Collinsworth saying, wow, this Dallas play calling has Houston mystified. Do you remember Houston being on the goal line not knowing there was a double option reverse pass that was open to a wide open Hearns, touchdown Dak Prescott? And there were moments in that game you're like, this is genius. And there were moments in that game you're like, this is a team that is trying to make up for what they are, which is a budding team on defense, and they have an average quarterback. Like, say what we want about Dak Prescott. No, you like Dak Prescott. I respect Dak Prescott. But by the numbers, this is a guy who is averaging 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 190 yards passing. Seriously, like, there are running backs for the Jets right now getting that in rushing, and he's going out there night in, night out, putting up mediocre numbers. No matter what you get from Ezekiel Elliott, it is difficult for this offense to continue to move the chains.
I right there with you last night in terms of Dak Prescott struggled and took some shine off himself. Yeah. And looking at him and the balls that Deshaun Watson was throwing and the balls that Dak was throwing, you can see the difference. However, I'm not willing to write Dak off until I see him in a properly run system that recognizes. I was never, Chris Collinsworth was impressed with Dallas' offense. There was no point during that game that I was impressed with Dallas' offense. Again, their offensive line struggled, and by the time that fourth quarter arrived there was plenty of proof that, like, Clowney and Watt are a problem for our offensive line.
Everybody.
And so why, in the most critical moment when I had a chance to steal a win on the road late in the game, why do I have Dak Prescott for 2 seconds with his back turned and for 2.5 seconds faking handoffs to guys. It was just stupid. And that's on Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator. I get it. But Jason Garrett is supposed to be the offensive-minded head coach that's supposed to help them in that situation. Remember, we're struggling blocking these guys. Dak's got to get the ball out quick. We don't have time for this stuff we got in the playbook where he ain't looking at the defense and he's doing all this rigmarole in the backfield. The head coach can have that influence, and certainly when you get to the end of the game, it is the head coach's decision on whether you punt or not. And he just had no feel for the game.
Yeah, look, you got to have a post in that moment, Sean McVay style. You got to go for it in that situation and live with the results. But let's reset. Jerry Jones needs to fire Jason Garrett. You took a shot at Jason Garrett. And I'm looking at other names with worse win percentages.
They don't coach for the Cowboys.
Oh, so
they don't coach for an organization that's that committed to winning.
The Cowboys are committed to winning, and under
this ain't
Jason,
the Bengals. This ain't the Bengals.
Under Jason Garrett, have they won under Jason Garrett despite
not enough.
A change and transition at quarterback?
Not enough.
Not
enough.
They haven't won a Super Bowl. They have not won enough in the playoffs. But that said, that doesn't mean you lose your head. That doesn't mean you lose your job. When I'm sitting there saying,
I'm better than 8 years, Marcellus.
What do you expect with this roster? Who's the number one receiver? Whitlock. You? Me? Who's the number one receiver? Who's the quarterback?
I expect better than what they got last night. The defense played well enough to win, and I thought the quarterback struggled, no question about it. But I can't put it all on the quarterback when I just look at Jason Garrett's not setting the right tone. He doesn't have control. He's not providing. A head coach is supposed to provide you an edge in some capacity, and he's not.
It's never been a tone conversation in football. It's a talent conversation, too. And I need my leading receiver to have more yards than my tight end. He retired. Dak Prescott retired Dez Bryant. Think about it. Dez Bryant with Tony Romo was top 3 in the league, maybe the best receiver, it seemed like. He retired the guy.
When you hire a head coach, I'm just telling you, Kyle Shanahan shows up in San Francisco. He provides them an edge on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah. Sean Payton, edge on the offensive side of the ball. Bill Belichick, edge on the defensive side of the football. That's what great coaches do. And when you are the Cowboys and you are just as committed to winning as the Patriots, the Steelers, and the guys at the top of this league, and you're not getting the edge from your head coach other than his clapping ability, it's time to move on.